Welcome to Let's Talk with Dami and Laura. This week we're talking about Nigerian men beyond the stereotypes.
For the listeners, when you hear the phrase Nigerian men, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
It's a good question, isn't it? And I'd love to know people's thoughts on that one.
Yeah.
So in this episode we're going to discuss the stereotypes, the negative stereotypes that have been put on Nigerian men over the years. We're going to break down the effects that has, especially on dating and relationships, especially long-distance relationships. And then also the positive sides of Nigerian men and what society should be focusing on rather than the negatives. If we start by discussing the negative stereotypes of Nigerian men, what are they?
I don't really understand why Nigerian men are so hated and this stereotype is upon them. There are few that like I've seen, but then again, every single negative stereotype I'm going to list here is happening everywhere, all over the world. Okay, let me say scamming. They say Nigerian men are all scammers. Most of them are scammers. There are scammers everywhere in the world. It's not just Nigerian men. We look about cheating. Cheating.
Unfaithfulness.
Yeah, unfaithfulness. There are unfaithful men all over in the world, not just Nigerian men. They say Nigerian men are controlling. You can find so many men that controls in any society, in any country. So it's not just Nigerian men that are controlling. It's just a few bunch of them. But every time the narrative is always like Nigerian men are bad at this, at that. I really don't like that.
And I think there's another one, if we look at it from a long distance relationship perspective, because obviously that's what we've experienced as well. The classic one of he's just using you for a visa, isn't it?
I've heard that like 1,000 times. Like some people don't even understand what the word visa means.
Yeah. They don't understand the process to get the visa, or they'll say once he's got citizenship he's going to leave, etc., isn't it? That is definitely one of the stereotypes of Nigerian men. And the other one is that they want money.
Yeah, like who doesn't want money? Everybody needs money to survive. I don't know why somebody's talking to you and all of a sudden, he wants money. Like you have to give the person a chance. I think it's in with Nigerian men now. You almost once you're doing something with them, you already have a barrier. You already have a building wall that they will have to prove you right before you can bring down that barrier. So already when you're doing something with a Nigerian man, the man is already at loss. You understand what I mean? We've already lost the battle before we even started.
Yeah.
And that is not fair on Nigerian men.
Yeah.
That narrative is not fair on Nigerian men. So what about you? What do you think about Nigerian men? You're married to one.
Yeah.
So what were your initial assumptions about me?
Being totally honest, of course, because the narrative is Nigerian men are scammers, that's going to be the first thought I have. That's me being brutally honest, because that's what, as a society, we have been led to believe, that Nigeria is a scamming country. That's what we're told. So for me, it's almost conflicting in a way, because I knew how I felt about you. So I've got barriers up. I'm looking for red flag after red flag after red flag. I'm not blind to it. Based on all of these assumptions, the stereotypes and narrative. So I would say for me, I did have those stereotypes in my head. And I think there was an element of I didn't feel embarrassed. I don't want to use the word embarrassed, but if I would say to somebody, oh, he's Nigerian, like the person I'm speaking to or the person I'm dating, the person I'm going to marry, he's Nigerian, you can see their face like change, and you just know that they're thinking those stereotypes. So I almost didn't want to say, because there was a part of me that didn't want them to judge you because I felt like that was, as I got to know you and know who you are and how I felt about you more, I didn't want that judgment put on you. So there was definitely an element of, I'd rather not say that you're Nigerian, which is so sad really, isn't it? Because you wouldn't feel that way if you're saying to me that, or saying to people you know that I'm British. But because of those stereotypes put on Nigerian men, yeah, it's not embarrassment, but it was definitely I don't really want to say he's Nigerian. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Whereas now, and for a long time, those stereotypes I can see that's not all Nigerian men. And that's really obvious to me as I've been with you and as I've been seeing other Nigerian British couples. You know, I see the positive side. Obviously, I know that there are those people who are the typical stereotypes. But then you could say that's the same, like you said, anywhere, isn't it? You've got scammers everywhere. It's like a minority is letting down the majority, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't now look at Nigerian men as they're all this. I'm like, okay, there's those ones. But the majority of them are all the positive things that we're going to talk about.
Why is it that when it comes to Nigerian men, it's so different? A woman, let me just say an American woman, will get to an American man and they have a family, they break up later and nothing. She won't say anything. That same American woman will get to a Nigerian man, yeah, they have a family and they break up, she'll come to social media. What is it with Nigerian men that when somebody have breakups with them, they always feel like they need to bash them? What is it? What do you think? What is your understanding about it?
Genuinely, I don't understand it because it really throws me, because we get it a lot in comments, don't we, on our own social media. People like to come and tell the negative stories. Okay, maybe it's because we don't tend to bash our own culture, meaning we don't tend to speak negatively of our own culture. So British people don't tend to put down other British people within their culture. You know, you said earlier about there's unfaithfulness in relationships everywhere. There is plenty of British couples, full British, who are unfaithful to one another. Same with domestic abuse. Same with controlling, etc., etc. And even if we look at the visa situation, let's say you have a white British person and a white American person, and he's come over, let's say, to the UK on his visa, and the relationship breaks up after he's got his citizenship or his indefinite leave to remain. I can 100% guarantee you they will not come on and say, oh, we broke up because he wanted a visa.
Yeah, he used me for a visa.
They will never say it. Instead, it's very, very common in relationships around the 7-year mark to relationships to get a little bit stuck. It's common in every relationship, 7 years. They call it the 7-year ick. Well, how long does the visa process take? 5 years. Then by the time you apply for British citizenship, it's around the 7-year mark, 6-7 year mark.
Yeah, most of the time they're not on the same page. When they're not on the same page at that...
I think by that point you've been with somebody for quite a while. It is quite a while.
Yeah.
And you're either growing together or you're growing apart. And
yeah.
by that point, and a lot of them may have children at this point. Well, children, I think, can either make or break a couple a lot of times as well. So for those white couples, where it's white American, white British, they will just go, the relationship broke down, or we didn't see eye to eye, or we had different visions and different goals, whatever the reason. But as soon as it's a white British woman or white American, or actually we've even had white German women, etc., haven't we recently? White Spanish women and a Nigerian man. If there's anything that's wrongdoing in the relationship, they're straight to social media. Well, actually, my experience with Nigerian man is this: all Nigerian men are the same.
Yeah.
And they've only dated one Nigerian.
Yeah, he's used me for a visa.
He's used me for a visa. He's done this. He's controlled me. He's been unfaithful. He's been looking at all women, talking to all these women. But there's plenty of white British men doing those same things. So I always try to reply to them comments and go, I'm really sorry that that's your experience, but that's not all Nigerian men. I try to think back to my previous relationships with white British men and use that as my comparison. I'm like, well, hang on a minute. The Nigerian man I've not been in an abusive relationship with, but I don't go bashing the British man.
Yeah.
So if you're asking the question of, like, why are they bashing those Nigerian men, I can only think it is literally because of what I said, in terms of it's easier to blame another race and culture for problems in a relationship. And I think it doesn't help that because there is these stereotypes, and unfortunately social media has become such a big thing now where we're more aware of things. So we do see these scammers or Yahoo men who, you know, it's obvious that they're in a relationship for the wrong reason. I always think those ones are really obvious, aren't they? So we're more aware of it, and I think people like negativity and they like to group together, don't they? Especially on social media. So I can only think that's the reason why people come on and do it. My question to the listeners, how would you feel if you were being judged by the actions of a minority in your race and culture? How do you think that would affect you, and how would it make you feel?
We've been looking at the negative aspect of the stereotype. Now we want to talk about the positive. You've been with me for a while now. Yeah, what are the positive qualities of a Nigerian man? I'm putting that question to you again because you're married to a Nigerian man.
Yeah, and I think in a way it's kind of nice for me to give you a different perspective and give the listeners a different perspective, because obviously I came into this relationship with them same assumptions of stereotypes. And now, because I'm with you and I've seen how you are and your actions from long distance and living together, the positives of a Nigerian man, well, you're loving and caring. You put your family first. And when I say family, I don't mean your Nigerian family. I mean your family literally in this household, your wife and kids. You work incredibly hard. You're so resilient to things that are thrown to you. Positive. You're ambitious as well. You're always, you know, have these things that you want to be doing, not just for yourself, but for me, us as a couple, us as a family. And so I start to go, well, hang on a minute. These are all positive traits. You're a Nigerian man. These are all positive traits that I see from you that completely outshine all the negative stereotypes. And
again, if I was to throw more light on it, one of the positive of a Nigerian man is they are very entrepreneurship. Did I say the right word? Entrepreneurship. A Nigerian man can go anywhere in the world and you see him in a few years' time, he's make something out of himself.
I can actually vouch for that as well. Not just, you know, when I even think about your brother, your younger brother, and what he's doing and achieving in business for himself, it shows me that he does have that entrepreneur spirit. And you do as well. You're always coming up with things and business minded and saying, okay, I think we should do this, or let's try this. You're not afraid to fail.
Yeah, if I have money, I'll be a billionaire today. If I have a little bit of capital, I'll be a billionaire today, because I've got the ideas.
You do.
I've got the spirit. What I don't have is, some of my ideas are just too expensive. I need the money. You understand what I mean? And I don't want to sell my idea to somebody. I don't want to tell somebody, because that's why they say the grave is probably the richest place on
Yeah.
earth, because probably most of the ideas, many of my ideas, I will go to grave with them. How many ideas have I told you?
Yeah, so
Hundreds,
many. So
hundreds.
many.
Like every day I wake up with a new idea. I just need
Yeah.
somebody that is rich that can be telling these ideas, and they're paying me millions
Invest
for
in
it.
you.
Yeah, I'm
Invest
telling
in
you.
you.
Yeah.
And I think if we go back to also like the hard working aspect, so many of our doctors and healthcare professionals are Nigerian, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I have a friend as well, if you want to talk about that. We all grew up together. I wouldn't say it was really my friend, like, yeah, but we all grew up together. He knows me, I know him. We used to interact. We used to play sometimes together as well. Like, yeah, I know him very well. His dad, he came from a very good family. He's in the UK. He's a medical doctor. Not just a medical doctor. He's one of the best graduating medical doctors in the University of Port Harcourt when he left. Like, one at the time at the top.
Yeah.
He was one of the best. And so yeah. So that is a Nigerian man. He's living in the UK here, working here, helping the UK people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they
you
work
see-
so hard, and it's not even just when we look at like medical profession. There's also a lot of Nigerian people do the jobs that British people are too lazy to do.
Yeah.
You know, carers. How many Nigerians are carers?
Oh,
So
yeah,
many.
So many.
There's so many, you know, and even in the building industry, again, so many. They're doing the jobs that UK British people don't want to do. And so incredibly hard working at all of those things. You know, even when I think about you around the house, you're always doing something and everything must be done properly.
Yeah, yeah. If
Because-
you're not going to do it, don't do it. But if you're going to do it, make sure you do it properly.
Yeah, and obviously that's from
The
your
way I was
upbringing.
raised, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. And that all comes into the hard working aspect of it, isn't it? And then, you know, I don't know if you want to delve into being like family orientated.
Yeah, when it comes to Nigerian, we're family orientated. Like we want our family around us all the time. Like when Nigerians come here on their on their visa, and they are trying to, what's that visa that they tried to remove a few years ago, last year?
Dependency
visa. Yeah, it is. Nigeria are very family orientated. When one of them come in, they want to bring their family. They want to be close to their family. They don't want to be far from their family. They now see it like, oh, Nigeria using the loophole in the system. It's not about the loophole. It's about family.
Yeah.
They want to bring their family along, their wife, their kids, their siblings. They want to be closer to their family. That's just the way I see it. Still talking about the family orientated. That's why Nigerians send back money home, because they have families they have to take care. They have their parents that have done everything for them. That's why they send money back home. They're not sending money back home because they don't want to. There are a few of them that do send money back home for project, but many of them, the simple reason that they are sending money back home is to take care of their parents. Because their parents have done so much for them. They can't leave them to be hungry. Some of them, their parents are old. That's I don't know why people moan the Nigerians always send money back. They have to send money back home to take care of their parents. It's as simple as that.
Well, that's such a cultural thing, isn't it? And I
Yeah.
suppose that's why British people do mention it and have negative stereotype to it, because as British people, we just don't look after our parents like that. So I guess that's why, but they need to see it on the flip side, that actually these are Nigerian men, and also women send money back home to their parents. This is just how you are. You just are genuinely family orientated.
Yeah. We're still talking about the positive. When you look at what Nigerian men are doing all over the world, look at hip hop, look at Afrobeat. You know, notable names, Nigerian celebrities that are doing great right now in the world. Some of them are Burna Boy, Davido, Whiskey, Thames for the females. We have Arya Star. We have the young kid Rema as well. Like, those are Nigerian men. They are doing great, but still we still have that stigma. You know, that stereotype. What are we going to do for that stereotype, for people to stop perceiving us that way?
Well, it's so funny, isn't it? Because I do feel like in Britain now, Afrobeats is becoming so popular. I mean, you was with a group of white lads the other day who were all listening to Nigerian music. So it's so funny that we will listen to this music, enjoy this music, probably not understand some of the pidgin in the music, but still have such negative thoughts of Nigerian men. And it's so sad because all this positivity is coming out of Nigeria in a big way in terms of, you know, these are celebrities, but it's so overshadowed by the negative stereotypes. And I don't know when that will end. I don't know how or if celebrities that are coming out onto the scene can help to change that. Or is it so, these stereotypes so deep rooted? I don't know. Another
positive is we have lots of Nigerian men that are married to British and American and Canada. Like, we have them on our social media, on our TikTok. Some of them are married for 10, 15 years. That is really, really brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. Like, I want to, in 15 years' time to come, like, I want to be telling somebody, oh, we've been married for 15 years. Like, I want to be proud and say, oh, we've been married for 15 years.
Yeah.
Or we've been married for 20 years. Or we've been together for 25 years. Like it would be so great just to say that, like, I want to say it proudly. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I think there is a huge pride thing. And I think there's probably even more of a pride thing as a Nigerian to be able to say that because you've gone against all those negative stereotypes. When I think about all the things that you have up against you, that judgment and stereotypes against you, sometimes I think, gosh, it must be hard to read them comments sometimes. And yet we've got these couples that have been together for so long. And it's so lovely when they come onto the lives or they comment and say, oh, I've been married to my Nigerian husband for X amount of years. I wish we saw more of them stories. I mean, the divorce rate is so high in general. So it's not just obviously British-Nigerian couples that divorce. It's across everywhere. But like, how nice to hear positive stories. And
yeah, totally agree.
If we delve further into the relationship, long-distance relationship aspect of things, do you think Nigerian men are set up to fail from the get-go because of the negative stereotypes that are already there?
That is a very good question. I don't know what to say to that question.
Okay, let me say this. When you think about our relationship, so when we first started talking, did you feel like the stereotype that is of Nigerian men, did you think that would affect our relationship? Did you think I would have those stereotypes?
The thing is that I wasn't really thinking about the stereotype. I was just an ordinary Nigerian man until our social media went viral. Started seeing lots of things on the internet, and you can actually see that this is the thing. Like, this is actually a thing. Like, Nigerian men have bad name out there.
Was you not aware of it?
I wasn't really a social media person. I was just I think I was aware of the general one. When they go to other countries, they develop, they open businesses, like notable in South Africa. Nigeria have lots of businesses in South Africa. And when you're successful as a Nigerian, you're going to end up getting married to their women too. What I know is that the South Africans used to say Nigerians are taking their women. But now I've seen it, they understand now that some of them are lazy, they don't want to do anything. And these South African women are seeing Nigerian men that are working hard, they have businesses, they've got money to take care of them. Some women, some women are very materialistic. So when they see somebody that is doing well, they will leave their poor boyfriends and go for that person. So it became a thing. I haven't really thought about it that way, that Nigerian men has a bad name when it comes to visas, using people for visas and all that. I've never really thought about that in my head for one day. You understand?
I mean, to be fair, when we started talking, you had no idea about visas. Yeah. It was very much me who was looking into visas and trying to understand them from, visit visas, you coming here and me going there, and how that would all work. It wasn't until then we'd met that we was then looking at all the other different types of visas and what we was going to do.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see it from that perspective that you didn't have any idea. But even the scamming. But I suppose if you're not doing it, you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but looking at it now, your question is,
Are Nigerian men set up to fail from the get-go?
Yeah, looking at it, looking at it now, that is a very big question, because as a Nigerian, even not just relationship, you're looking at companies. You're in Nigeria, you're looking at companies all over the world, companies that are online companies, and you're applying and you're looking at, you're Nigerian. You're probably setting their what's it called, their bar up here. Already looking for ways that, like, looking for red flags. Yeah, it does this, it does that. It's already out. In a relationship, oh, I'm looking at, if he does this, he does it. Like, any little thing, they're picking on you. Like, you're already failing before you even started.
I mean, I think when we talk about red flags, I think we do tend to look at the red flags more when there's a race or culture with certain stereotypes. So certainly, and I think also when it comes to long distance relationships, we do tend to look more at those red flags. What I do think, from my perspective and as a woman, I think when a woman does start talking to a Nigerian man, in their head, in the back of their head, they absolutely will have, is this man going to scam me? Is he going to ask me for money? Is he going to use me for a visa? Does he have a wife back home? They will have all of those questions in their head. So before you've even spent one day talking, the woman's already got all those in her head.
Yeah, and sometimes...
And she's watching everything that you're doing.
And sometimes they'll be bombarding you with all those type of questions. You understand?
Yeah.
So some people that can't tolerate, before issues everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
Well, I think that comes down to what Nigerian men need to maybe do is understand that unfortunately there are these stereotypes. Rightly or wrongly, there's these stereotypes. Understand them, and then understand that could be why the woman is either got her wall up that you're having to break down, or there's trust issues. Because if you're in the back of your head going, he's going to scam me, or he's cheating on me, or whatever it is, you're going to have trust issues.
Yeah, but then again, why is it just the women? What about the men that goes and marry Nigerian women?
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
Well, but there's not that...
Yeah, so the
there's
stereotype
not those same
is
stereotypes.
just for the men, isn't it? I've never seen any man, any British man. There are lots of British men, that are married to Nigerian women.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of them that came out on Facebook and said, oh, my wife did me this, my wife did me that. I've never seen. You understand? Yeah, I've been scrolling TikTok for 3-4 years now. I've never seen any.
Yeah,
so the Nigerian women must be very good then. Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, for all the...
No, do you know what I think it is? Because I think it's an interesting one. What I think it is when relationships fail, men will have a sense of pride, and they don't want to publicly say, my relationship has broken down. There's an element of shame. I've maybe let that person down. I've let myself down. They don't want to publicly speak about it or out a person. I think men are quite private in that respect, whereas women can be quite bitchy, open. They are happy to stamp on a person who's done them wrong.
Yeah, try to bring down the person as well.
Yeah. So I think it's not necessarily because the Nigerian women are good. It's men and women behave very differently.
Yeah.
When in a relationship and when a relationship ends. Very, very differently. And you can even look at that in completely different aspects, which I'm not going to get into because there's so many. I think that we could do a whole topic about men and women and the way they behave.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, I think we should put that question out there as well. The question you asked, because it's a very big question.
The question is, do you think Nigerian men are set up to fail at the start of a relationship because of the negative stereotypes.
Yeah, when it comes to long distance relationship, yeah. How can Nigerian men overcome the biggest challenges in long distance relationship?
Okay, so if we look at the challenges, what's one of the biggest challenges? It's trust, isn't it? I think all of it will come back down to trust. If you're worried about infidelity, if you're worried about scamming, all of those have trust, is an element of trust there, isn't it? You have to trust the person to be faithful, trust the person to not scam you. People have to be aware. So I think Nigerian men have to be aware of those stereotypes, like I said, and then be patient. You can't expect, when stereotypes are being rooted into somebody and said time and time again, you have to be patient with the person that you're with, who's trying to take all that stereotype that's there and unpick it all, almost, isn't it? Because you're having to go, okay, I need to take this away, I need to take that away, because actually this person I'm talking to are all these good qualities. And it works both ways, because it's not just Nigerian men who have to overcome those obstacles when you think about it. It's actually the person. So, like, for example, you're Nigerian, it's me. I had those stereotypes. Unknowingly to you, I have those stereotypes of what there is to you. So I'm thinking, well, what does he need to do to help start breaking those down? Well, you need to show that you've got some sort of commitment to me. You have to build that trust. I mean, really and truthfully, trust. Can you ever trust anybody 100%? I don't know if you can, no matter whether you're in a long distance or not. I think people end up shitting on people all the time, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can ever be 100%. But if I look at from when you are here in the UK to where we're in long distance, I can say I trust you, let's say 99.9% now. But in long distance, you're always going to have them things playing in your head. It's just one of them things, isn't it? So you just have to look for red flags. Like, the person who's here has to look at the red flags. And then the Nigerian man has to be patient and understand these are the stereotypes. I have to prove that I am not that stereotype. There's commitment, there's patience, communication, which you do all of those things, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're always communicating. You was always committed in ensuring that we would be speaking. I don't think there's any other way of them overcoming those stereotypes other than trying to prove against them. But don't feel so frustrated when you feel like you're one step and then you're going 2 steps back. Because I think doubt will always play in a person's mind. You can't just go into the relationship thinking, oh, there's all these stereotypes, but I'm not that person, so she's not going to have those stereotypes of me. You have to prove yourself still. Which is sad, because it shouldn't be like that, should it? But
No.
Unfortunately, it is. There's so many Nigerian men who genuinely are committed. They're dedicated to the relationship and they go above and beyond.
Yeah.
And you're a perfect example of that. Unfortunately, we live in a really negative world and social media can be a really negative place. So it's really important that our listeners and those on social media start to look at the more positive stories.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we almost have to try and be positive all the time. For me, negativity is overwhelming, and when I'm in that negative scene, it just brings me. I'm not comfortable in the negative, so I try to be positive as much as possible. So let always be positive. When you're talking to somebody, try to be as much as possible positive as you can, but use your sense. You understand? Yeah, it's good. It's good when you're positive. You're sending signals to the universe. Everything will just go smoothly for you because you're always positive. A positive mindset is always ahead. It's one step ahead. A positive mind. That's a quote by Dami. A positive mindset is one step ahead.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that before?
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, that's a quote by me.
Yeah,
That is
a good quote.
Yeah, a positive mindset is one step ahead.
Yeah. And I think people need to look at the bigger picture and embrace and be empowered, isn't it? Like empower Nigerian men rather than putting them down all the time.
Yeah.
And start looking for those success stories. You know, I'd like to think we are a success story.
Yeah.
I know we're still like little in the relationship, like we're only 4 years in, 5 years at the end of this year. We've still got a way to go, but I'd like to think that our journey, our relationship as Nigerian and British is positive. And actually I do think it's changed some people's perception. I can actually think of one person who came onto our TikTok and was adamant that you were in this relationship for all the wrong reasons. So just follow us. Just follow us and watch, and see what you think. Join our live, see how Dami is, etc. And she completely changed her mindset. And that's what I want. I want people to start looking at the positive stories rather than all the negative ones, because there's a lot of negative ones.
Yeah, the thing is that we're always bringing the negative story to social media.
Yeah.
Why don't we bring the positive? I bet you, if we were to start bringing the positive stories, it will overshadow, or it will outperform the negative story.
Yeah,
let me use that word. It will outperform the negative story.
Yeah.
Let's just be positive. Let people come out and talk about their relationship, their long distance relationship, how positive it is. Let them start coming out and saying it. Let it flood social media. You understand? Instead of negative every single day you go to internet, Nigerian man. I'm fed up with it.
I think the sad reality is as well is so many who do follow or do watch, they're waiting for us to fail.
Yeah, they're waiting for a disaster to happen.
They're waiting for me to come on and do a video and say, he's left me, he's cheated on me, he's used me for a visa. You know, because I have it all the time. Just wait and see. And I just say back, you wait and see.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, it's just crazy to me. So we need to advocate for a more positive narrative in the media, don't we?
Yeah.
That's what we need to be doing and others need to be doing.
Yeah.
If we look at the key takeaways of this episode, what are they?
Yeah, we're looking at one of them is be positive. Always be positive. You know, love Nigerian men, love them, respect them. Nigerian men are worthy of a chance, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what we have to stop assuming the worst.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if we assume the worst, if you assume the worst in everything in life, where would you get in life? Nowhere.
Yeah. Nigerian men have got so much to offer to this world, not just in relationship, but in every aspect of life. That anywhere you go, you don't see Nigerian man run.
You don't see Nigerian man run.
Yeah, I'm telling you, because we're everywhere.
Yeah.
We're everywhere doing good things, impacting the society. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, everywhere. We're in everywhere.
I think people, especially women, should start looking at Nigerian men differently.
Yeah.
And put those stereotypes to one side and just see Nigerian man as any other man that they may come into contact with.
Yeah.
And then apply those same red flags, white flags, whatever it is that you would normally do in a relationship, apply that to that Nigerian man, because he also deserves that respect and that opportunity to be him as an individual. For us, this is such an important topic that we'd love that those who have listened to this episode go and share it. Start opening up them conversations with friends, with family, with online communities. Start sharing those positive stories when you see them, including ours, because we're a positive story and there's lots of followers on our account that has them. Start sharing them, start engaging with them, and just start breaking down those barriers and start sticking up for Nigerian men in the comments a little bit. Isn't it?
Yeah.
When you see negative comments about Nigerian men, go, hang on a minute, actually, I know so-and-so, and they're breaking down that stigma, that stereotype. I would also love to hear people's stories who perhaps were like me, believed in the stereotypes, and their perspective has changed, because I think that's also really important, to be able to hold your hands up and say, actually, I did have that stereotype of somebody and now my perspective has changed. So we'd love to hear those stories. And so we'll end on, don't forget to see Nigerian men as individual men.